All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Wednesday, September 17th, right here on your Daily Fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Texas volleyball. They're on a mission to start the early season. I mean, they are on a tear, and they look great. And so that should be pretty exciting, especially if Texas football ends up being what they look like against UTEP all season long. Volleyball might be the primary sport that this podcast becomes. So I'm kidding. Don't freak out, people. I'm not abandoning ship. I never will. However, we will talk more about Texas football today. And if this isn't a get right game, I don't know what is, Jake. We're looking at what Sam Houston likes to do, or what they like to try to do. And Texas should have a lot of success on Saturday. But again, we thought they'd have success against UTEP. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is the worst team they'll play all season. It's not particularly close. There were
This
statistical
is an FCS, glorified FCS.
Yes, there were statistical data points to look at that showed you that UTEP had things they could do on defense that were good. San Jose State was good last year. There was only one game of reference. I'm not sure what they did yesterday, but like there was saying Sam Houston is just bad this year. They're really bad. They're 0-3. They've gotten blown out in all three games. Western Kentucky, UNLV, and Hawaii. And they've given up consistently around 400 to 500 yards a game. And then obviously, right around 40 points a game. So if the offense does not score over 40 points in this game, you're more than hitting the panic button. You're like slamming it. You're like slamming it until it breaks, like slamming it against your head. Like this podcast may just not get recorded because I might be in a hospital bed. So that, and the bad thing about that is the offense could go out and have 700 yards and 85 points, and I would not feel a single bit better.
No.
I guess I would feel a little bit better because they have not looked capable of that if they were playing against air, quite honestly, to this point. But yeah, if this is not the game to get your confidence going into a bye week and then have a bye week to kind of honestly just use the bye week to just get back to basic fundamentals, almost go back to grade school for some of these position groups on the offense, and then go into Florida and hope that that can be the point where you go, okay, remember when all of you said we sucked at the start of the season? Now we figured it out and we're going to roll, and that's the hope, right?
Yeah.
But it all starts with offensively. I mean, first possession they need to come out and score a touchdown. Arch has got to look sharp. And it's pretty simple to me. Just looking at Sam Houston, I've kind of changed my timeline on things. If Arch isn't looking good and is having a game like UTEP and it's the third quarter, I'm making a change then and seeing if the offense just clicks all of a sudden.
Yeah, you need to know.
You just need to know, and then you can figure it out during the bye week and figure out what you're going to roll with in Florida. Now, hopefully that's not the case. It shouldn't be the case because they should be able to roll all over this Sam Houston State defense. And so that's the way this game looks to me. It's a complete just get right game. And that's just the bottom line.
And the truest definition of such a game, a get right game, is what the Texas Longhorns need. We thought it was going to happen last weekend. It did not happen last weekend. But it is what they need, and they've got to dominate this game. It should be the fact that, Matthew Caldwell is playing the entire second half. Why? Because Texas is up 50-0. That's why. It should be, we don't really need to see any more of Arch in this game specifically because he's got 5 touchdown passes, 300 yards, and we're sitting pretty. The running game looks solid, at least against Sam Houston, and that's fine. That's fine. You can work on getting Gibson involved and getting Christian Clark acclimated to the offense in the second half. I think James Simon should start this game. And you've got Gibson and you've got Clark in the second half running the offense with Matthew Caldwell.
For me, it's Gibson or Simon. I'm really disappointed. I talked a lot about Christian Clark being my dark horse guy going into this year. going back and seeing some of the all 22 film that's getting posted with Christian Clark, and I sent you one clip, but there's others. It's not good.
There was some
I
that I
mean,
noticed in the game where I was just like,
yeah, there's vision, and it's vision related. It has nothing to do with elusiveness, quickness, none of that. Not that I think that's look great, but his vision is just, he does not look comfortable out there. And that's something that can get better. I'm not giving up on his career by any means. He's essentially a first year guy. He
yeah,
missed his whole first season with an injury, but he's not ready. And James Simon is. James Simon looked like the most, him and Gibson, what I like about those two is they're decisive. They say a hole and they just go. And that will lead to some explosive runs eventually. And Simon provided some explosive runs in that game. Well, not explosive, but what feels like explosive for this offense right now. Just getting 8 or 10 yards feels like a miracle on the ground. But yeah, I would be Gibson and Simon would be who I'm feeding the ball to in this game. And then Christian Clark is a third guy, just for the purpose of getting him more reps so he can get more and more comfortable and try to get the light bulb to kind of turn on for him. But the light bulb's on for Simon, at least from that first game. He was very impressive.
Let's talk about it. I mean, freshman, true freshman. And I thought he came out and he at least gave the offense some energy, gave him some life, and we hadn't seen life during the UTEP game at all up to that point. There was a couple of runs where I was like, hey, we got something going with Simon. Keep feeding him. And, it stats wise, it didn't just jump off the page. But again, I think the offensive line just is not blocking well up front when it comes to the run game and getting that established. And so I'd like to see James Simon be RB1, especially if Baxter is banged up or nicked up at all. Just don't play him. Wisner, give him another week's worth of rest. You don't need him in these games. You don't need Baxter or Wisner to play in this game. And so I'd like to see James Simon start off as RB1. And I think that would also go to show from Sark, hey, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what experience you have. I don't care how much playing time you've gotten in the past. I'll start someone who's ready to play and wanting to go right now because it's about that time.
Yeah, and I want to see a change at left guard. Connor Stroh was serviceable against Ohio State, and he's just been flat out bad the last 2 weeks. And I don't think he is ready to start this year. Again, another guy, it's not that I'm giving up on some of these guys' careers. It's just, hey, they're not ready yet. Doesn't mean they can't be ready in a year. So, I mean, sometimes the light bulb truly does for college player just flicks on at some point. But there's no way Connor Stroh is your best option
Jake,
right now.
What would it tell you? And this just popped up in my brain just now. If Texas is up against Sam Houston State, say 21-7, or they won't score 21-0 at halftime. And it's like, well, Arch Manning still needs to probably get some reps, but he comes out and starts Matthew Caldwell for the entire second half to see what the offense does with him. Is that enough to show you, hey, he's ready to go in that direction if needed?
It's telling me it's in his thought process. It's telling you that he's going, or maybe at the very least he's going, I'm going to let him sit for a while, and maybe just sitting him for a little bit and then bringing him back will just let him just sit and calm down, get the pressure off of his shoulders. Because I think the mental side of things is, maybe he just didn't expect the level. Everyone was, well, he's a Manning. He's had it on it. It's different. You're the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. That has a special spotlight on it compared to most starting quarterbacks in all of college football. And then you're Manning on top of it.
Well, that, and on top of, Texas has gone back-to-back semifinal rounds of the college football players. They've been one of the final 4 teams standing in the last 2 seasons. And he comes in to replace Quinn Ewers, that had this offense humming and looking pretty efficient for the most part, not as great as we all wanted it or thought it could be, but for the most part was going pretty good. And then he comes in with that pressure, plus the pressure of performing as just the University of Texas quarterback anyway. And then he also has the pressure of being a Manning on top of that. And it at some point, it's going to weigh you down a little bit. It looks like it's weighing him down. If he went to Tennessee to fill in for Peyton, or he went to Ole Miss to fill in for Arch and Eli, I feel like that would have been kind of a pedigree thing where maybe the pressure not as much. They also don't have the expectations Texas has. Um, but if he, I mean, shit, if he would have gone and played, I don't know, what program would have been like, yeah, we're a good football team, but we don't have expectations of a national championship every single season. Miami, maybe, or
Miami, the spotlight just isn't. People talk about Miami, but the fan base is just not
yeah,
there like others. Maybe in Arkansas, uh, some Big Ten schools. I don't know,
yeah,
like USC,
yeah,
because their fan base isn't. I mean, I know USC is kind of like a blue bud, but I just talk about like you got to add in the rabid fan base
yeah,
aspect. Arch was hyped up as a Heisman by a lot of people, and then he was getting booed, and rightfully so,
yeah,
in that UTEP game. But that's not every fan base will do that, and
yeah.
so
That's something we haven't really discussed yet. The Boo Birds on Saturday.
I'm normally against boo birds a lot of time because it feels like sometimes fans are getting too
I think
frustrated.
the patience was wearing pretty thin.
This was a case where I actually think there was moments in the San Jose State game where there could have been boos. And it really was until frustration had boiled over, even for me. And I typically try to stay pretty level headed. Well,
You
as level
level-headed?
headed as I can be when
You?
it comes to actually just like outwardly saying
Yeah,
something on the podcast or,
sure.
X is the one area where I used to let my rantings out a lot more than I do now. But yeah, the frustration had just boiled over. And I just think that this game, despite it being against such a bad team, feels so important. And it's not from they need to win it. Well, if they lose this game, this podcast truly might end. Because or it actually won't end. It will become a volleyball podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
If they
It'll
lose
just
to
be a
Sam Houston
volleyball
State
podcast.
at home.
Yeah.
But it just feels like this is our last chance to see them click on any level before you go into the swamp and play a good Florida defense. Because their defense is good. Florida's is. And then right after that, go down to Dallas and play an OU team that looks like they have one of the better defenses in the country. And then you have a handful of really tough games on the schedule after that. Everyone talked about Texas' schedule being weak, and all these teams they're supposedly weaker or ranked. And then you have Arkansas, who doesn't look bad either on the schedule.
Yeah. They
And
played Ole
so
Miss pretty hard.
yeah. I mean, everyone thought South Carolina would be tougher than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt just put belt to ass
Yeah.
at South Carolina. So this game's very important. Just from we need to see the offense look better, and this is the last chance before you go into the swamp. Because otherwise, we're going to the swamp just going. We might just be screwed.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. All right, Jake, let's go ahead and man, Underdog has really been a great tool for us over this season, and we appreciate everything that they're doing. They've got so many different fantasies and games and entries that you can play. Jake, they've got esports, they've got League of Legends, they've got all sorts of different things. They got WNBA, they've got college football, NFL, and everything in between. And this week it is Ryder Cup week, and Jake and I are going to be placing some entries on some higher lowers of how we think that the Ryder Cup is going to go. USA all the way. Until the day I die, I will be 100% biased in my picks and in the entries that I play at Underdog. Underdog, you can also play and you can win up 1,000 times your earnings. Download the app today, sign up, and use promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Again, that is promo code HORNS. Jake, Ryder Cup, who do you like?
Yeah. Also going to be very biased in mine. The only little bone I threw Europe was having Tommy Fleetwood go higher than 1.5 points
It
won.
feels like he's like half American. We've kind of like adopted him as like the ugly stepchild.
Yeah, he's liked because he's too nice not to be liked.
He's almost Canadian, not European.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good comparison. just not French Canadian.
Yeah,
They're
right.
not as nice.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then it's all USA. It's all USA from there. I got Justin Thomas higher than 1.5 points won. Scotty Scheffler higher than 2.5 points won, and then a good old lower for Rory McIlroy, who now that he's won his Masters, we can finally fully hate
Yes.
to the max.
Yes.
Having him going lower than 2.5 points won in the Ryder Cup. And I think if this formula happens, we will certainly see a USA win, as we're all hoping to see.
Victory! In the words of Entourage. But yeah, no, I completely agree, Jake. I'm going full on USA hat when it comes to the Ryder Cup. I did give Tommy Fleetwood the benefit of the doubt because, like you said, he does typically play pretty well. I actually think that his totals should be swapped with John Rahm's. I would actually venture to say that Tommy Fleetwood would have the 2.5 points and not John Rahm. However, with that being said, I'll take advantage of the lower point total, in my opinion, on Tommy Fleetwood. I say he gets higher. For Scotty Scheffler, best golfer in the world, he'll go higher than 2.5 points won. Rory McIlroy, I was excited for him to win the Masters, and then my full-on hatred came full circle back for him, and I hope that he fails at everything else that he does. Including at the Ryder Cup, which is lower than 2.5 total points won. John Rahm, I also felt like he'll probably get around 2-ish. I thought 2.5 was a decent number. I thought it was a little high. I'm going to go lower on 2.5 points. But yes, this is Underdogs. Again, use and download the app today. Sign up with promo code HORNS. Score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. And millions of fans have already won billions making picks for Underdog. Will you be next? You must be 18 years or older to play in Texas, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 in Colorado, for some games, and 21 and over in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Use assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms. For details, offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and in Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467369. We appreciate our friends at Underdog. All right, Jake, volleyball, and then we'll wrap up the show. Boy, did they come out swinging with another sweep of a top 15 ranked team in Arizona State over the weekend. Dominate that one in a clean sweep.
Yeah, incredible start to the season for volleyball. Last year there was kind of signs on the wall early on, even though they were getting some big wins here and there.
And it was also, we were also kind of early on last season, you and I both were kind of like, I mean, look at the schedule that they're playing. I mean, you're bound to drop a couple of matches with the schedule that you've got. I would argue that their schedule's tougher this season, and they're blowing through it easier than they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, they've swept number 12 Creighton 3-0. They swept number 8 Wisconsin 3-0. They beat Rice, who's receiving votes. Rice, or no, that might have been SNU, who knocked off A&M, who's a top 10. They beat them 3-1. They beat Stanford 3-2. They beat who's number 6, number 4 Louisville 3-2, and then a sweep of number 9 Arizona State 3-0. Undefeated to start the season, essentially all against ranked opponents as well. And 4 of the 6 opponents top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is as impressive as you can start out the season, really. And yeah, you got to feel really good that they're kind of back on that national title contender level this year. It's still early, but if they can stay healthy, they can keep rolling like this.
Hard to
you got to feel
imagine
really good.
hard to imagine they're not going to be number 1 in the country.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the rankings, Nebraska is currently number 1 in the last polls. By the way, Louisville, Stanford, Wisconsin are 4, 5, 6. Guess what? Texas has beat all of them.
Yeah.
Kentucky's 3. We'll see them in SEC play. A&M was 8. We'll see them in SEC play, though they have dropped a game since these polls came out 2 top 10 SMU, and then you have Arizona State 9. So of the current top 10, you've taken down 4 of them. So yeah, just as impressive as a start as you can have for Texas volleyball. Very excited to see how the rest of the season goes for them.
Yeah, they were on my TV the other night. Had them on and watched a set or two before I had to go off and do something else. But I have put my eyes on them, and yeah, they look impressive. And I think it was the Rice game, actually, believe it or not. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Big boost after the weekend of UTEP. We appreciate the support. And yeah, we'll see you around. Hopefully we got a better, more positive, enlightening podcast to talk about, encouraging podcast come Saturday against the Sam Houston State Bearcats. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, huck 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.